What are activity networks, you might ask? Well, think of them as roadmaps for projects. They show you all the tasks involved and how they connect, helping you see the big picture and plan effectively. They also help you figure out the shortest possible time to complete a project, which is known as the critical path. Imagine you're building a treehouse. There are many steps involved, such as gathering wood, designing the structure, and assembling the pieces. Some tasks must happen before others. For example, you can't build the roof before you have walls. An activity network maps out all these tasks and their dependencies. Each task is represented by an arrow, and the arrows connect in a way that shows the order things need to happen. This visual representation is incredibly useful, as it helps you avoid bottlenecks and delays. You can identify which tasks are critical and which have some flexibility. This knowledge empowers you to manage resources, time, and ultimately, the success of your project. Before we dive into building an activity network, let's define some key terms. First up is the activity network itself. This is a diagram that visually represents a project's tasks and their dependencies. It's like a flowchart, but specifically designed for project management. Next, we have the precedence table. This table lists all the activities in a project and their immediate predecessors. It's a structured way of showing which tasks must be completed before others can begin. Finally, we have dummy activities. These are special arrows added to an activity network that don't represent real tasks. Instead, they clarify dependencies when multiple activities share some, but not all, predecessors. They help to avoid confusion and ensure the network accurately reflects the project's workflow. Understanding these terms is crucial for working with activity networks, as they form the foundation upon which we build our understanding of project dependencies and critical paths. Now, let's build a simple activity network. Imagine we're planning a surprise birthday party. Our precedence table looks like this. Activity A is to bake the cake, with no predecessor. Activity B is to decorate the venue, also with no predecessor. Activity C is to buy party supplies, again with no predecessor. Activity D is to set up the decorations, with predecessors B and C. Activity E is to pick up the birthday person, with no predecessor. And Activity F, where guests arrive, has predecessors D and E. First, draw a start node. This represents the beginning of the project. Then, for each activity with no predecessor, draw an arrow from the start node and label each arrow with the activity letter. Now for activities with predecessors, draw arrows starting from the completion of those predecessors. For example, activity D has predecessors B and C, so draw an arrow labeled D that starts where arrows B and C end. Continue this process for all activities. Finally, draw an end node where all the final activities converge. This represents the completion of the project. Dummy activities, bridging the gaps in precedence. Sometimes we encounter situations where multiple activities share some but not all predecessors. This is where dummy activities come in handy. Let's add a task to our birthday party. Prepare party games, activity G. It can only start after the decorations are set up, D. Now activities F, guests arrive, and G, prepare party games, both depend on D. But F also depends on E, pick up the birthday person. If we simply draw arrows from D to F and G, it would imply that G also depends on E, which is incorrect. To solve this, we introduce a dummy activity. Draw an arrow from D to a new node. From this node, draw two arrows, one to F and one to G. This clarifies that both F and G depend on D, but only F depends on E. Dummy activities are represented by dashed arrows. They don't represent actual tasks, but rather logical dependencies. By using them, we ensure that the activity network accurately reflects the project's workflow. Real-world applications. Activity networks in action. Activity networks are not just theoretical tools. They have countless real-world applications. In construction, they help plan the sequence of tasks. from laying the foundation to installing fixtures. In software development, they outline the steps involved in coding, testing, and deploying new features. In event planning, activity networks ensure that everything runs smoothly, from booking venues to coordinating catering. Even in everyday life, we use them implicitly when planning a trip, organizing a wedding, or even just getting ready in the morning. The power of activity networks lies in their ability to provide a clear, visual representation of complex processes. This allows for better planning, coordination, and execution, leading to increased efficiency and reduced risk of delays. By understanding and utilizing activity networks, we empower ourselves to tackle projects of any size with greater confidence and success. Mastering activity networks for success. Activity networks are powerful tools for managing projects. They provide a visual roadmap, enabling us to plan effectively, identify critical tasks, and ensure timely completion. By understanding key concepts like precedence tables and dummy activities, we can build accurate and insightful networks. Whether you're planning a party or overseeing a construction project, activity networks offer a structured approach to project management. By mastering this technique, you equip yourself with the knowledge and skills to navigate complex projects and achieve successful outcomes. So, embrace the power of activity networks. Start by identifying your project's tasks.
Want to rise to your full potential in your studies and revise like a boss? You can trust Study Guide today to have you covered. Subscribe to this channel and see our website linked in the description of this video to see revision articles to maximize your study gains.